Junior was one of my all-time favorite teammates. He was everyone's all-time favorite teammates because he was as gregarious as they got. Actually, I'm going to take that back. There were a lot of offensive players that on the other side of the ball in the Chargers that did not like him because that dude never played a down without playing at full speed live. And he changed the intensity of practice the day he got with the Chargers. I got chastised when I came to the Chargers because I thought I was the same way. Well, there weren't a bunch of guys around me that were that way. There were guys that were, again, I've said it, they weren't as intense as the USFL. So I get to the Chargers and guys are kind of, brother-in-law technique where they're just kind of going through the motions in practice. Junior, the second he was a rookie, and the second he got there, he was full speed. And guys, if you remember, that dude had coal buckets for arms, 6'3.5", 255 pounds, probably 5% body fat, ran a 5 40-yard dash. He could bench press a house. He came full speed live. There weren't guys that were like trying to fight him after the plays. Guys decided, oh, I guess I better get lower. I better use better technique. He was amazing. And I credited him for at least 4 or 5 of those last 6 years that I played. 4 of them with him because he was so intense and worked out so hard and taught me all of that. The guy was gregarious off the field. I can remember about 10 days before he committed suicide. I was at John Carney, the former kicker. He has a charity golf tournament here in San Diego. We called him Junebug. I run into Junebug, and I had just read a story about him driving off a cliff in Encinitas, Del Mar on the coast. And it wasn't a big cliff. It was like 30 feet. And he landed on the beach and survived. And it was kind of hush hush, but I just wanted to see if he was okay because rumors were that he was trying to commit suicide. He had come out and said, look, I was looking down from my phone. I lost control of the car. Turns out he really was trying to commit suicide. So I said, hey, Bug, if you got, any issues with people coming to your house, too much media, you're welcome to just stay at my house. No, Plum, I'm good, bro. And he was just as gregarious as always. I said, I just want you to know, if you ever need somebody to talk to, you've got a place to come to. No, I promise you I'm good. And, it's still really difficult to talk about because I felt so guilty. And the day he committed suicide, I can remember I was on my recumbent bike and I had been watching the news and it came on. They had just committed suicide and just tears just flooding down my face. And my wife comes home from work 4 hours later and Junior Seau was San Diego. They were still covering it. And I was still sitting there just crying. And I didn't know, but my wife had seen signs in me. And she said, we need to go see a counselor. And I knew she was right. And it really, it truly changed my life. I owe Junior Seau and my wife my life. And there are a lot of guys in the NFL today that should thank Junior Seau because the NFL was going to do nothing about concussions. We had a concussion seminar with Lee Steinberg. He was my agent. And I think there were probably like 7 guys, doctors and PhDs from around the world who were experts. And they were up front. This was probably, 10 years before all of this happened with Junior. And I'd seen articles in the USA Today and other places about the NFL saying, oh, concussions, you know, don't believe it. A concussion's only when you get knocked out and lose consciousness. And it takes a bunch of those to have any impact on your body. And so these guys are up there talking, and they're saying that even if you see stars and feel slightly disoriented, you need to think about sitting out the next week. There's 50 of us because Steinberg had a lot of players in the NFL. I stand up like an asshole in the back of the room, and I say to these experts from around the world, you know what? You can take your studies and shove them up your ass, because if I don't have 5 concussions a game, then that means I'm not playing. And oh, by the way, I probably have 1 or 2 concussions a week in practice, especially in training camp. You probably have 10 a day because you're hitting twice a day. So that, I'm telling you, 2,500 is a low estimate for somebody that played 250 games, because it's the off season, it's the practices, it's the training camp that are 6 weeks long that you're hitting twice a day in padded practices. And we were ignorant. I believe the NFL, and the NFL would have never done a thing had it not been for Junior Seau. And I love you, Junebug. I always will. And guys in the NFL should understand they owe him a debt of gratitude, because none of this stuff would have changed. The rules, you know, now having new helmets. Obviously, before this outer shell that they're doing, they've also, Kenny Norton had told me that, dang, these new helmets are pretty amazing. I think ours cost $250. Theirs cost $2,500 now. And, you know, they're obviously better for players, but, you know, the rule changes all of it. And they are getting better, you know, in terms of more support for players, you know, after football, after retiring. We know that 59.5 is the average life expectancy. I'm 64.5 right now. Just lost another teammate, Eric Moten, from that Super Bowl team with the Chargers, but I had played with him a few years before. It's just, he was 57 years old. It's just tragic. And I hope that number just keeps going up, and guys can thank somebody like Junior Seau for that.